Hey there, welcome to Feast and Farm Cooks. My name is Rachel Ballard and today we are making a quiche Lorraine. Now, don't panic. I know that sounds like something terribly complicated, very Julia Child, but they are so simple. Essentially, it is baked eggs in a pie crust. We love quiche in our house for dinners. I'll often serve it with a salad on the side or for a brunch. And with the holidays coming, you're gonna need something that feeds a lot of people very easily. And this is a recipe that will do that because you can make this ahead. Sometimes a day or two ahead is perfectly fine. Keep it in the fridge and just warm it up when you need it. And it's a hands-off, healthy breakfast. So, I know this does not look like the ingredients to make a quiche because there's no eggs out here, but we have to start by pre-baking our pie crust a little bit. If we don't pre-bake it, when we pour the eggs in and we put it in the oven, the custard can kind of soak into the crust and you won't get a nice crispy crust. So we start by blind baking this. That's the technical term for this. But let me show you how simple this is. What I have out here is a store-bought pie crust. Don't panic. I do occasionally use a good store-bought ingredient if it's worth using, and pie crusts are great. If you want to make your own crust, I'll leave you a little snippet up here, a little link that you can click on and go over to my pie crust recipe. It's made usually for more of a sweet crust, so just leave the sugar out if you use my version, but it works great. So in this store-bought crust, we're just gonna unroll this into a 9-inch pie plate. I find that my quiches work a little bit better if we don't use a huge pie plate. Like this one's only maybe an inch tall and it's, like I said, 9 inches across. So if you have a big deep dish pie plate or something like that, you might want to realize that it may take a little bit longer to blind bake. So you're just gonna have to be patient with that. Now look here, see how this crust is cracking? It's because it's cold. Don't worry about it. If yours does that, try to set it out 10 or 15 minutes before you wanna use it. But if it cracks, matter, it's fine. Just use your fingers and kind of mush it back together in the spots where you need to. And if you need to give it a second to sit out, you can, but that's fine. So we're just gonna put this in here. Now, you can finish your edges any way that you choose. If you just want to take a knife and run it around there and cut off the sides, you can. If you want to flute it, which is what I usually do, which is your index finger and your thumb and your index finger of your other hand, and you just mush it between. It does not have to be pretty. You can also use a fork and just go around the edges and put some lines in yours if you'd prefer. I'm going to go ahead and flute this pretty quickly here. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but you can make yours beautiful if you want to. So don't let your pie crust and don't let the fact that there's a pie crust used here scare you, because so many people are terrified. Watch me. That piece is falling off. I'm going to take it off. It's okay with me. So a lot of people are terrified of recipes that, or use a pie crust. They're like, I don't want to, it's too hard. Well, it's really not. Just give yourself a little grace, fling off pieces if you don't like them there. If it's too thick, whatever, it's not gonna matter. Because when it bakes up, nobody's looking at that part. They don't care. They just want their food, and they want their food to taste good, and that's what matters. Just give it your best effort. That is officially the ugliest pie crust I've ever put in a pan. It's all right with me though. Does not matter right now. Now, yes, I'm going to fiddle a little bit because I'm a perfectionist and I can't help it. Okay, so let's look at the pretty side of the crust. We'll just look at that. Now, all you're going to do here is you're going to put a couple of layers of aluminum foil inside. You're going to layer that in, and then we need to weigh this crust down a little bit. If you don't, when it bakes, it'll puff in the oven, and you don't want it to puff up. So, a couple of layers. Now, you can weigh this down with dried rice if you want. There are actual pie weights that you can buy that look like big white beads, and you can lay those in the bottom. Or you can keep a jar of dried pinto beans in your cabinet. Now, I have used these as pie weights over and over and over again. So once you bake with your dried beans, you can't cook them for anything else. So I just keep mine in a jar, and whenever I need to blind bake, I just get them out and put them inside. So they just live in my pantry like that. But what we're gonna do is I'm gonna put this in the oven just like this, and we're gonna bake it. And like I say, the thickness of your crust is really going to depend and factor into how long you bake this. So 10 or 15 minutes should be plenty because we still have to bake it again once we put the eggs in it. But just until the crust is a little less doughy, you'll notice that it doesn't look so wet in the oven. It'll look a little bit dry and be a little bit firm. We don't want it to take on any color. It doesn't need to get brown. We just need to firm it up a little bit. So I'm gonna go for about 12 10, 12, 14 minutes, something like that, and then I'll check it and bring it out as soon as it starts to look like that, and I'll show you what it should be. So, be back in just a second. Okay, so my pie crust was in the oven for about 9 minutes. That was all mine took, just to kind of dry it out, and if it's cool enough, I might pick it up here and show you just how it looks. So you can see that the edges are just a little bit dried out, but it's not taking on any color or anything like that. So that's exactly how we want it. And we want it to still be warm, because when you put your custard in, or your egg mixture, you need it to start to cook evenly. So you need it to be a little bit warm. So it's gonna sit over here and wait on me while we prepare the filling. Now here's what you're gonna need for your quiche. I have got a little bit of bacon, about 4 slices of good quality bacon back here. Everything that starts with bacon is always better. I've got yellow onion or white onion, either one will work, heavy cream, and I've got 4 beautiful farm eggs in the back. And then I have my Bunker Hill probiotic cheese, our yogurt culture cheese. This post is sponsored, this video is sponsored by Bunker Hill cheese, and I tell you what I love about this. This cheese is made with yogurt culture, so you get naturally occurring probiotics in the cheese. It's lactose free, and today we are going to be using the garlic and herb flavor, which packs even more bold flavor into your food without having to make a bunch of extra ingredients or chop any fresh herbs or anything like that, which you can do if you want to. But I love it when everything is in one ingredient. So we're going to use about a cup of that as well. So to get started, I've got my skillet heating up here in the back, and I'm going to add my bacon to that and let it get started rendering out. Okay, so my bacon is rendering down. That's going to take 4 or 5 minutes until we get it to a nice level of crispiness. Once I get it there, I'm going to take it out, put it on a plate, and then transfer my onions into the same skillet and cook those down, and I'll show you what it looks like when we get there. Be back in just a second. All right, so our bacon is out. I cooked it till it was crispy, and I set it on a plate on the side, and then I drained off any of the extra drippings that were there. I only needed about a tablespoon to cook my onions in, so I drained off the extra and put my onions in, and I'm going to cook these just until they're translucent and softened. And when you cook an onion down, it really cuts away that super strong onion flavor. So if you're not an onion lover, don't worry, this is still very doable. And if you didn't want to use regular onion, you could use green onions, you could use scallions, which are much milder, you could use shallots, any of those will work, so it's up to you. We're going to cook these in just until they're softened, about 4 or 5 minutes. And then we're going to transfer this to our pie crust and mix up our custard and get this in the oven. So I'll be back in just a second to show you what's next. Okay, we're ready to go ahead and fill up our crust. So let me show you what to do. The first thing you're going to do is take your bacon and put that in the bottom and just kind of spread it around. If you have any big pieces and you need to break them up, just break them up with your fingers, that's fine. Just kind of spread those around evenly, and then you're going to get your onions, which I'm going to get mine from my skillet, and transfer those in. Leave nobody behind if you can. Try to get them all in there. So I got most of those. And then spread those around. This is going to be so good. You're going to love it. Okay, next goes the cheese. Now, this is about a cup of cheese, a cup of Bunker Hill, but feel free to use a little extra, because if you ask me, you cannot have enough cheese. So this is the beautiful garlic and herb, and I cannot wait to have it in here. I get my Bunker Hill at Meijer. You may be able to find it if you have a Meijer store near you, but you can also get Bunker Hill cheese on their website. I'll leave a link to their website below this video if you want to check it out. Okay, now let me show you how to make the custard. We'll set that to the side. This is so simple. All you've got here are your farm eggs and some heavy cream. Now, because the bacon is salty and we have some salt in the cheese and that sort of thing, I'm not going to add any extra salt and pepper right now, but you certainly can. So feel free, if you'd like to do that, add it in. Heavy cream and eggs. Do you own a moon whisk? If you don't, by the way, this is from Rada Cutlery. They make such quick work of beating eggs, it's just a shame. So if you don't own one, you should. Now, what I'm actually not going to show you right now, it's going to be off camera, I'm going to take this pie crust before I pour the eggs in over to my oven, and I'm going to open the door, put this on the rack, and then pour my eggs in over there. Because if I do it over here and try to carry it, I'm going to make a mess. So I'm going to carry it over there, pour my eggs in, and then we're gonna bake this just until a knife inserted about an inch from the edge of the crust comes out clean. The center is still gonna wobble. It's almost gonna look a little bit like Jell-O, and that's okay, because you don't wanna overcook it. So we're gonna have it in the oven maybe 35 to 40 minutes. I'll let you know exactly how long it takes when I get mine in. So I'll be back in a couple of minutes to show you what it looks like, and we'll have a taste. Be back in a second. Okay, our quiche is out of the oven, and mine is almost golden. It's from those farm eggs. It makes it look like that. But you can see the herbs that were in our cheese that we used have kind of floated up into the eggs. It's gonna be delicious. So we're gonna get a piece out of here, see how it looks. And I did let this cool a few minutes. Forgot to tell you, mine cooked for 23 minutes. And since mine's a little more shallow than yours may be, just keep an eye on it. Cook it as long as you need it to get it to the right stage of firmness. Now, let's see if I can get this piece out. The first piece is always the hardest when you try to cut something. Oh, wow. It's just so gently set, and then we've got all that cheese. That's all cheese along the bottom, and the bacon is in there. It's absolutely beautiful. It cuts like a dream, and you know I'm going to get a bite because it's awesome. I can't wait to have it. Guys, don't forget, make sure you hit that subscribe button right below this video. Don't forget to check out Bunker Hill Cheese and all of their fabulous options for their yogurt cultured, naturally occurring probiotic cheeses. They are delicious, and I'm getting ready to take a big taste of mine right now. Thank you so much for being with me here on Feast and Farm. I'll see you again soon. Bye.